Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone. So, in this lecture I would be discussing urban political ecology so far as the Indian context is concerned, covering the major themes and concepts in this Indian urban political ecology framework. So, yes, there definitely has been this urban turn in political ecology, as in several parts of the world. Similarly, South Asia is also not an exception, more specifically India is not an exception, and we have like very significant concepts so far as urban political ecology in India is concerned. The most crucial concept being bourgeoisie or bourgeois environmentalism. So, what we will be doing here is basically kind of discussing the literature that is available so far as political ecology in the urban space or in urban settings is concerned, and I will be discussing the works in terms of air, or more specifically air quality in metropolitan cities like Delhi, waste, solid waste, and also parks, urban parks. And there is also a significant amount of works which have been done so far as network infrastructures, mainly again water infrastructure, water provisions, drinking water provisions of cities are concerned. So, political ecology in and of the city. If you look into the literature that is available so far as Indian urban political ecology is concerned, you will see that different scholars or researchers coming from a variety of fields, array of fields, they are pursuing this particular field. So, different methods, methodologies are being are being cross fertilized, and they are conversing with each other. They are exchanging conversations. So, methodologies and methods are being kind of combined, cross fertilized and deployed to kind of unpack these complex processes and dynamics that actually shape urban nature. So, we see an undisciplinary move to explore the complex urban social and environmental transformation of this 21st century, which is an unprecedented century in terms of planetary urbanization, whether by the term or not. And so, what is required and what is also happening fortunately is re-theorizations of global urbanization and the understanding of the 21st century social nature through historically contingent multi-scale ethnographic empirism. I mean, something which Anna Singh talked about in her 2005 work, and fortunately this is what is happening in the urban political ecology domain so far as the Indian context is actually concerned. So, this is a quote from Annie Rademacher's urban political ecology article, which she published in the annual review of anthropology in 2015, and there Annie Rademacher says that Amita Bhaviskar, she is exemplary. So, exemplary among ethnographers whose work has brought the city into political ecology is Amita Bhaviskar, and there is no doubt in this particular fact. And Amita Bhaviskar through her different works, and I have cited some works here, she basically she brought her research, she brought her political ecological analytic to the city. So, initially we will see that the kind of work she has done is about this political ecological dynamics through which she tried to explore the multi scalar processes kind of shaping rural development projects and its implications for communities, most importantly the marginalized sections of the people. But then she brought her research, political ecological research to the city, and she is the person who conceptualized and framed this very significant concept or analytic or conceptual traction, which is bourgeois environmentalism. And this methodological or conceptual arc in the political ecology literature, it has kind of influenced and inspired a number of works, which has then tried to kind of deploy this bourgeois environmentalism perspective to unravel multiple socio-natural and political processes shaping urban environments of different cities so far as the Indian subcontinent is concerned. So, what is this bourgeois environmentalism is all about? So, this is actually Amit Abaviskar's critique to this idea and practice of gentrification. So, here what happens is that the affluent sections of the society, they try to they are in favor of city beautification initiatives and urban restoration projects, and they consider the poor people as polluters, as ugly people. So, unfortunately, what happens is that the way, or rather in the battles to curate the urban space, the right of the city unfortunately is cast in terms of the right of this salaried affluent middle class section against the survival needs of the poor people in that sense. So, this bourgeois environmentalism, this is a very I would say strong formulation, because it helps us to understand several notions at play in the making of urban environment. So, for example, the notions of open space, green environment, and like this apathy to noise pollution, to air pollution, water pollution, and this urge to remain connected to water systems, sanitation, electricity, internet, etc. So, which are the ideals of advanced living standards and urban discomfort. Unfortunately, these ideals consider the poor people to be the polluters, and to be the aesthetic nuisance, right. So, in that sense, so it's very derogatory, and this middle class activism, unfortunately, it also mobilizes against the livelihood provisions of the informal communities, or the squatting population inhabiting the most inhospitable parts and stretches of the city. And they also try to kind of activate the state agents, media, courts in their favor. So, that is the most unfortunate part of it. And so, Amita Abaviskar, in some of her works, for example, in her later works, like I remember like this works which came out in 2011, What the Eyes Cannot See, or for example, her this cows, cars and cycle rickshaws, which is there in this particular book which she edited with Raka Rai. There she says that how the middle class also, they in their form of bourgeois environmentalism, how they also actually hide their extractive relationship to the city, because their ecological footprint is far more than the ecological footprint of the squatting population, because unfortunately these people, these communities remain, they don't even get the opportunity to access adequate drinking water, sanitation services and other essential commodities to live a dignified life. So, for example, Amitabh Aviskar also shows that how this movement by the middle class to kind of to promote the ban on cows and cycle rickshaws in the streets of the city of Delhi in order to facilitate uninterrupted urban mobility, kind of absolutely it absolutely veiled the fact that cars also create more congestion, and cars create more pollution than cows and cycle rickshaws. So, this understanding, or this lens or the prism of bourgeois environmentalism, it has inspired several sociologists and anthropologists to kind of unravel uneven developments or uneven developments of urban spaces in that sense, and how these urban spaces are imbued with inequity and injustice or injustices. So, yes, so for example, these middle class sentiments in the form of like metropolitan civility or environmental subjectivities have been kind of captured by other urban political ecologists or urban social sciences scholars like Jonathan Sapiro Anjaria, for example. So, these are very, it's an indicative list, because otherwise this domain is very rich. So, numerous works in these lines. So, but they are quite important and indicative. So, and hence I'll be in a position to kind of discuss some of them. In this particular article, Anjaria shows that how this affluent class they mobilized against the hawkers, against the hawkers of Mumbai, and how they also considered this stalls as health hazards, and ugly spaces so far as the metropolitan city of Mumbai is concerned. So, there are several chapters in this particular book by Anil Radmechar and K. Shivaramakrishnan, which came out from the Hong Kong University Press in 2013. So, there are chapters by Janki Nair and Ashley Gettner and Shubhra Gururani on similar lines. That really project these middle class aspirations and interests against the livelihood needs and survival provisions of the urban poor. Similarly, another book by Surojit Chakraborty and Rohit Negi, edited volume on space planning and everyday contestations in Delhi. So, which also uses and deploys the prism of most of the chapters deploy the prism of this bourgeois environmentalism. So, then we have very dense and rich urban political ecology literature on air quality, discussing solid waste and also urban parks. So, for example, this article by René Veron, one of his earlier works, 2006 publication, where René talks about the judicial activism of the environmental NGOs, which again manifest and reflect their middle class bias so far as environmental aspirations about the city of Delhi, or more specifically what quality should the air have, and their protest against air pollution remain reflective of their affluent or middle class biases. And that is why René says that why this political ecological narrative or analytic is significant to capture these different interests unequally affecting the different sections of metropolitan cities in India. So, we also have this work by Vinay Gidwani and Julia Corwin. So, Vinay Gidwani again is an urban political ecologist or urban social science researcher focusing on solid waste and mainly on the urban governance of waste. And this is from this EPW article where Gidwani says that well versed in the production of waste corporate capital has not generally focused on capitalizing on waste. So, the discards of consumption previously approached broadly as mere waste have recently found rebirth in an increasing corporate waste market in India. So, ranging from contracts for waste collection and incineration plant installation to sales of recyclables, formal businesses are entering the business of revaluing waste, often to the detriment of India's already existing informal waste sector that has long conducted its own waste based businesses. So, this new increasingly corporate business of waste is intimately connected to a new waste governance regime in India. Concerns regarding two symbolically significant waste streams, municipal solid waste and electronic waste, illuminate waste beyond its management and demonstrate its embeddedness in matters of consumerism, informal sector livelihoods and urban ecology. So, he shows that how the corporate sector has kind of accommodated and trying to make business from this waste, from both municipal solid waste and also from e-waste, and why it is important to actually protect the needs and interests of the informal waste workers. And he makes a clarion call at the end of the article that it is important to support their tradition based practices in which lies the future of India's waste governance. Similarly, like not similarly, but in similar lines, but on a different vein, Natasha Cornea, Rene Veron and Anna Zimmer, they kind of shed light on a recent segregation at source plant in a small town in West Bengal, and then they kind of course using their urban political ecology perspective, they try to capture diffuse forms of power between and within state government agents and local community, local informal waste workers, municipal engineers, etc. And they say that why again this political ecology narrative is important to kind of understand and explore this uneven urban development surrounding the surrounding ecologies of waste, shaping different neighborhoods of the city in different ways. So, the entire thing is power laden, and it is really important to explore these diffuse forms of power. In again another article by the same group, Zimmer, Cornea and Veron, they discuss they discuss a municipal park. So, how a municipal park in a Gujarati town, small town in Gujarat, it was constructed at the center by actually demolishing a slum. And they say that it is why is this urban political ecology is important, is an important framework, because it then enables you to kind of position this particular case study within the larger and wider context of Indian city beautification drives and urban restoration project. So, that is the within the capitalist urbanization and state formation processes in urban India. So, yes, so this of parks and politics, production of social nature in the Gujarati town is a typical example to that end. So, like so far as this global literature is concerned, similarly Indian urban political ecology literature also I mean there are numerous works that discuss or where networked infrastructures remain the focal point, and mainly water provisions. So, for example, Matthew Gandhi in this 2008 path-breaking article, he showed that how the city of Mumbai was undergoing through this complex institutional, economic, political and social transition into fragmentary and polarized metropolitan space. So, he traces the tortuous flow of water, and he says that this flow of water is strikingly indicative of the persistent inequities that shape Mumbai's urban water infrastructures. And he says that this Mumbai's dysfunctional water infrastructure not only owes back to the colonial history, but these incipient weaknesses have been exacerbated by contemporary or this rapid urban growth and authoritarian forms of political mobilization, and also the dominance of the middle class interest within the denuded public realm. So, again Gandhi's argument or call is to understand this Mumbai's urban or Mumbai's water infrastructure within the larger historical processes, political processes of capitalist of urbanization and state formation in metropolitan India, in urban India for that matter. Nikhil Anand's studies, anthropological, very rich, detailed, ethnographic accounts on the city of Mumbai is very interesting, because for example, if you see Nikhil Anand's this article on the polytechnics of water supply in Mumbai. So, pressure, so here pressure is not only natural or physical pressure, but this is also social pressure what he is actually talking about and engaging with. So, he discusses how settlers they mobilize a pressure of pumps, pipes and politics, and then how hydraulic citizenship in the city of Mumbai actually get forged. And Nikhil Anand, for example, he also discusses in this particular book, Hydraulic City, he says that it's not about the collection of water through pipes and valves, but it is about the complex interrelationship and the dynamic processes that get shaped through the complex array of technical apparatuses and social arrangements, involving and comprising of municipal engineers, plumbers, politicians, and several other user groups along 3,000 miles of pipes that bind this city. So, this history of infrastructures or ethnography of infrastructures bring to the fore social and civic relationships that kind of craft urban socio-natural terrains. Then there is another interesting study by Malini Ranganathan, and Ranganathan talks about the mafias in the waterscapes of Bangalore. So, where mainly this where public there is inadequacies in terms of public supply of water, how these mafias play an important role. And Ranganathan says that this mafia is actually a semantic area dotted with situated meanings and cultural interpretations, and we need to understand this larger meanings and interpretations in order to explore and understand urban informality and everyday publics and politics, right, shaping the city of Bangalore or the water trajectories of Bangalore. And she says, this the nature of the political practices among these mafias actually vary from exploitation to electoral lobbying to social protection to several other welfare modes and mechanisms. So, through these various meanings and through these various interpretations, actually one need to kind of capture these complex processes that shape Mumbai's informal water Bangalore's informal water trajectories and everyday politics. So, finally, now this UP has not only or UP does not remain only restricted to drinking water supply or drinking water provisions so far as network infrastructure is concerned, but also it is a kind of discussing or taking up wastewater as the conceptual realm. So, and wastewater remains very significant because through wastewater provides the fuller understanding of this socio-natural process or socio-natural processes shaping the water resource from source to mouth. So, from production to consumption and then finally disposal. So, and there remain various ways of knowing the waterscape involving again several groups like the local communities, like scientists, experts groups, hydraulic experts, engineers, technocrats, policymakers, etc. So, Timothy Karpozoglu and Anna Zimmer, they say that when you need to understand, or rather urban political ecology enable us to understand that the reason why the poor people, the poor communities remain exposed to this to the wastewater or to untreated wastewater does not only cannot be only understood or captured through the lens of limits to service delivery mechanisms, but also the way through which legitimacy is awarded to competing claims of knowledge on the wastewater realm. So, it is important to kind of understand that who like dominates the decision making processes and how, and whether these decision making processes are or remain power laden or not. So, it is important to capture these local geographies of power. So, yes, so in the next lecture I would actually be discussing more recent advancements within the urban political ecology literature in the Indian context. So, these are the references for now, so far as this first part or part 1 is concerned. So, here we had covered or discussed fundamental themes and concepts in urban political ecology literature Indian context, most importantly bourgeois environmentalism and related to it metropolitan civility and environmental subjectivity or subjectivities. So, we had focused on this early literature, focusing on urban political ecology of air, water, waste, parks, and then of course, we kind of discuss some very significant crucial works on network infrastructures, then mainly network infrastructures on water, but also the emerging literature on wastewater. So, thank you.